As much as I'd love to stay in our little oasis here at Indian Summer House, you have to get out and explore the beautiful countryside that we're in. So first let me tell you where exactly we are in India, because it's a pretty big place. We are in Kerala state and we're fairly close to Cochin. So I flew into Cochin International Airport. Now Kerala state is on the southwest tip of India, facing into the Arabian Sea. Now, what that means for the things that we're going to see here in terms of architecture and culture is it's this real mix. Kerala has had visitors from all over the world for the past 3,000 years or so. So a real blend going on there. In more recent times, it was that age of exploration that kicked off in the 1500s that really started to change this landscape. So the Portuguese came out first, and you can see traces of their heritage as they kind of set off to establish their trade routes. Then it was the Dutch, so you've got this aspect of Little Holland, and for those of you who know a bit about architecture, you'll be able to spot those as you go around. For those of you not so familiar with it, just look at the Dutch cemetery, and that's a pretty obvious clue. Then it was the British, so of course the British started to come to power and eventually brought India into their big empire. So a lot of the architecture you see as you go around reflects this. You've got kind of these tropical trees, but then as you look around, like these buildings over here, really colonial style. Churches as well, so this is the St. Francis Church, one of the oldest churches in the Commonwealth, that's still functioning as an Anglican church today. Then we get to the fishing industry, because of course Kerala is on the ocean, so there's going to be a massive seafood trade. Now the claim to fame here is the Chinese fishing nets. They're a big thing that you come here to see. The Chinese came through a couple of hundred years ago and left a bit of technology, and essentially they're these big spider-looking structures with a big net that just goes in the water, no bait, leave it in there for 10 minutes or so, lift it up and hope that there is some fish in there. Like so many parts of the world though, this culture is dying out a little bit with modern fishing practices coming in and just there being not many fish left. Now the last thing I have to tell you about is shopping, because invariably when you go to India, there is going to be a shopping trip forced upon you whether you want to or not. Now, as you can see, there is just a random collection. This is a really typical handicraft store, so wooden boats, antiques, and maybe some souvenirs that you might like. One of the big things to buy when you come to India is textiles, and most of these places will have a huge array of fabrics on offer, whether you want a bedspread, a sari made, cushion covers, tablecloth. The one thing I can't emphasize enough when you are shopping in India is you must haggle. They're going to start you off with a fairly ridiculous price, and you might be like, oh, but that's kind of what I'd pay in Australia or the States. And you start doing the sums, go, oh yeah, but and then no. The starting price is always going to be way, way too much. So my tip is when they first give you that price, you know, you've worked out what you want, oh, how much is it? Look completely appalled at the price that they give you. Then knock it down to at least half. Then you can kind of mull over that for a little bit and wait for them to come down. A few phrases that I usually use is, oh, is that your best price? No, but really, is it your best price? And they'll normally come back with, you know, oh, what price would you pay? And just stick to your guns, stick to the price that's quite low, and then maybe come up a little bit, you know, play the game a little bit. At the end of the day, if your price is really too low, they're not going to sell it to you. So stick with the price that you are willing to pay, maybe come up just a little bit, and then make like you're going to leave. That's when the real negotiation starts to happen. So one of the girls who wanted to buy a beautiful bedspread yesterday, price she was given was $6,000. She only wanted to pay $3,000. That's fair enough. In the end, we got them down to $3,500. She was happy with that price. But it wasn't until we were literally walking out the door, prepared to say no, that they finally met us there. Do have fun with haggling. It's not supposed to be stressful. It doesn't come naturally, and I must admit I helped my friend bargain a little bit yesterday, and it was so much easier because I wasn't emotionally invested in what I wanted to purchase. Make sure you're checking out Expat Getaways on Facebook and Instagram, and that is where you are going to get the most up-to-date information on where in the world we are. And of course, check out the blog and have a look at some of our itineraries for India as well as the rest of the world.